when someone changes their opinion, they're like, oh, you flip-flop. It's like, well, maybe. Or I got informed or educated and saw a new stance and I've evolved.
Yeah.
Why is that bad?
One of the biggest starting points for me was just exposure to thought leaders that I really respected. Hopefully that's one of the reasons you're watching this show and listening to this show right now, because you respect, whatever I have to say or what Mike has to say or what our guests have to say, or at least we'll give our guests a shot. That doesn't also mean that you agree with everything, right? Like that's never what I asked, but hopefully there's some respect there. And you got to find thought leaders that can actually speak truth into your life. And, I'm a big believer that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And, there's people like Tony Robbins out there. There's, Ed Milet, there's Lewis Howes, there's all these different guys, and girls too. There's some really amazing women in the space as well. But one of the things I started to really crave was like a deeper, thought leader, like somebody who is really, really thought through issues thoughtfully. And also I kind of got a little I'll even be honest, I'm a little bit out right now. I don't even know how I feel about it, but I'm a little bit out right now on some of the woo-woo, hype up sort of stuff in the personal development space. I know it works. So part of me is man, I should probably get back into it and those sorts of things. Maybe I'm overcorrecting a little bit to this scientific approach, but I want people who really know what they're talking about, not people who are if you just believe, then it's going to happen for you. I'm sick of these slogans. I want people who have really done the work. So I'll share with you guys the intellectual dark web. Mike, are you familiar with these guys or no?
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
Let's find out.
So the intellectual dark web it's coined a term of just these people who are heterodox in their thinking, which basically means they aren't, they don't really fit neatly into a box. They don't fit into right or left, or they don't fit neatly into one little thing. So they, people like Eric Weinstein, Brett Weinstein, their brothers, Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro, Joe Rogan, these casts of characters, Heather Heying is really great. These characters really, really, really can think through things. Rogan's a little bit more like an interviewer, but these other guys have really thought through things. Dave Rubin is another one. And if you're willing to just expose yourself to some of these things. Now, by the way, sometimes people will say, don't listen to Joe Rogan because he's transphobic, or they'll say something like that. It's if you go listen to what they have to say, people are smearing these people generally because they can't compete with their ideas and they're angry. And the best way to do it is to smear them, right? Which is pretty inevitable for anybody who's sharing their opinions these days. As long as, anytime you fall out of the dogma of the culture where the common culture is, you're smeared, right? You're smeared a racist or a transphobe or, homophobic, Islamophobic, all the phobics in the world, right? To the point now where these words have basically lost all their meaning. But it's that's why you have to go and do the investigation yourself, though, and actually listen and actually see, because if this person really is, you're going to know really quickly. But if you actually pay attention to their work, right, and be willing to, most of the stuff that I engage with is a minimum an hour, and sometimes I'm listening to stuff for 3-4 hours, really, really deep work. So exposure, is a really important thing. What's coming up for you?
Yeah, I really like what you said is find thought leaders who speak truth. And there's always so many cliche sayings, the truth will set you free. And, the truth is out there for you to find, of whatever it means to you. And there are people that align with what you believe. I just think it's important to get out of just who is convenient for you to be exposed to and go seek out principle principled based leaders, thought leaders that are out there. And I stumbled actually across Ben Shapiro on the Joe Rogan show and listened to one of his things, and it was like, he contextualized some of my thoughts. Like, he's able to put some of the thoughts that I've had into words that I was like, wow, that makes sense. And, you know, I'll hear some individuals talk about things that I'm able to align with, that makes sense with me. Sometimes I'll hear, you know, just I let Joe Rogan. I mean, he does have a lot of really great guests. You know, Jordan Peterson he had on there, and I think maybe Candace Owens was on there, and
he's had basically everybody from every walk of life, from every, you know, left, right, center, all of the above. He just had Alex Jones on, and they were talking about aliens and smoking pot and just like, you know, going just all sorts of crazy stuff. You know, that's really nonpartisan, right? It's just like, because he was saying like Alex Jones initially when he first met him, he was like protesting George Bush, right? Like, because he, you know, didn't believe that George Bush was ethical. So it's like these people tend to, you know, they don't fit neatly into our boxes. We like to label people, but it's like when you actually just try to listen to somebody, it also don't ever take anybody's word as like completely true. Like, I'm always trying to filter it through my own, you know, thoughts. Yeah. And sometimes I'm listening to people I really respect. I'm like, that's a bad take. Like, you're wrong, you know? Like, I don't agree. You know, I agree with 80% of what you said, but not this. So,
and when someone changes their opinion, they're like, oh, you flip flop. It's right. Like, well, maybe, or I got informed or educated and saw a new stance and I've evolved.
Yeah.
Why is that bad?
Totally. Exactly. I mean, I actually think that's almost like a prerequisite for somebody that I want to learn from, is like a willingness to change their mind, and a willingness to admit where they're wrong, you know? So I think that these sorts of like, you know, rules to go by, you know, does somebody really kind of, are they kind? Do they always give the benefit of the doubt to people? Are they willing to change their mind, you know, when presented with new information? A lot of times, even I think we're doing a fairly good job modeling this on the show. It's like, you know, instead of coming in with an agenda or a, you know, so being so firm, it's actually like, I want to have the discussion and determine it together, right? And this is actually a really good principle for coaching in general, which is a lot of times someone asks for my advice and I'm like, I don't know. Let's figure it out, you know? And I'm going on the inquiry phase and ride with them, so we can just try to actually arrive at what the best answer is. And we kind of make one case and we make another case and we're just like, well, it looks like this case is better. Like, do you agree? And, you know, that's how we arrive at a lot of decisions.